Hiya, it's your friend SB here. Happy New Year to you all, and today I will be starting a new series that is focused around tuning builds. You see, tuning is one of those things that appeals exclusively to me. It's sort of like when they put Byleth in Smash. Even if the greater community wasn't into it, I loved it. But the thing is, I've seen quite a lot of ignorance around tuning. There's just a lot of people that don't really understand it. And part of that is because half of the shit doesn't even work. We've got scientists figuring stuff out back at the lab, and some of it will probably get changed next season, so for the time being, we're just going to be focusing on the special tuning slots rather than the regular slots. This Momo build is one I've been practicing recently, which has a playstyle focused on sisterly disposition. This skill is probably one of the strongest in the game right now, giving a massive 50% damage reduction on activation. That's right, you're finally now taking an appropriate amount of damage from Strike Derby. The scaling on this skill is very top heavy, not unlike most skills, so I don't think I can recommend it for a budget build. But for a plus ultra rarity costume, it can last up to 30 whole seconds. If your build focuses on this skill, I recommend getting it to level 11. The right slot is always hero or villain specific, and when you see a slot with this attribute, it means it can be leveled one level higher than it would otherwise. The left slot is not hero villain specific, and so will only go up to level 10. To synergize with Sisterly, I'm running Revenge Support, which will activate a slightly nerfed heal card every time your shield is broken. If you don't know, a standard heal card will provide 10 health per second, but Revenge Support will provide 7 health per second. If you can imagine that taking half damage is the same as having twice the amount of effective health, then we can see that any health increases or healing during this time is getting twice the value as normal. Momo is extremely effective in melee range situations primarily because of how good her alpha is at staggering people on hit. The Sisterly build requires that we hit melee hits to activate the effect, so staggering people gives her an easy way to land a hit. Momo is also very vulnerable to certain types of attacks. Characters that can attack from afar, like Assault Shigaraki and Nejire, are an absolute nightmare. And the extra survivability is extremely useful when you're forced into an open area, like if the zone moves into a bad location. If you're in a tense final zone situation, Sisterly is literally a lifesaver. With all that said, let's get into the showcase. Alrighty then, we're going to be going into the games now, and I'm going to be doing this in post-commentary, because when I'm doing the actual gameplay myself, I'm thinking mostly about, getting the clips so that, showcase and stuff, and that can take multiple games, and I don't want to be doing, retaking commentary over and over again, so this is what we're getting instead. So with this sort of build, we're starting off in a very open area. This isn't ideally where I want to be playing Momo, but the team dropped here, so, you go with the team. You do whatever the team says. But surprisingly, what you might find is that because I'm hitting melee shots, I'm activating Sisterly, and I'm living. I mean, I'm still taking quite a bit of damage at this point. People are still shooting me, but I would have been so dead by now. And what's happened instead is I'm living. Look, that Shoto, he got downed. He got shot to shit. And we're down here at the back, and so a lot of people aren't really looking back here. They might be running in the opposite direction. There's fighting going all over the place. Take down the Shoto, get some levels, just dealing with the Ochaka now. I've still got some time left on Sisterly, because I'm able to reset it by hitting a down person. Any character can make use of Sisterly as long as you're just hitting down people. It's great. So here, the Ochaka runs away, yada yada. Engagement done. Here we have Assault Shigaraki. Earlier I was saying, he's a difficult person to deal with. But if he gets up close, he's throwing away his advantage. So we can just push him around a bit. And if you're able to get a knockdown as Momo, you can really block their escape with a well-timed alpha. I'm kind of fumbling a bit here, so he gets away. So I just need to get out of this fight, be careful. I've still got plenty of time on Sisterly, because it is a whopping 30 seconds, may I remind you. The show just a bit out of position, gets blown up. Especially, he is in one of these bushes. There he is, I find him. I didn't have any Sisterly up at the time. I have it now. And you can play so much more aggressively, which is what I do a lot. I play very aggressively, pushing people around, sticking my nose in places where it shouldn't be, but what are they gonna do? I think the funniest thing about it is that some people are like, I don't want to deal with this, I'm leaving. And my favorite thing about getting left alone is that I'm gonna have team heals on me. If my team needs help, I'm just gonna pop a team heal. In a 3v3 situation, it is better to have every single person in a 1v1. Don't let anyone freely do as they please, because they're just going to use a team heal, and one person on team heal while two people are fighting is the ideal fighting strategy, I think, a lot of the time. You can really get screwed over by one person being by themselves team healing. So in USJ fashion, you are focused on some other fight, and then you get shot in the back, and now you have to deal with this. So there's actually two shotos here. I get shot in the back by one, and I walk into another. Here's I think that's the original guy again. So even if I can play aggressive, I still don't want to be taking damage. It just means it's an easier time for me to get out. Look, I may be twice as durable as before, but that doesn't make me infinitely as durable. Like, I'm super close to death right now. I didn't have any shield for the longest time. I'm not getting my revenge support to activate. So I do need to hide, I do need to go heal. And I find a space to go heal, and I can get back into the fight. It's always good to have heal up, or shield up first, so you can proc the revenge support if needed. It's a little bit better value. And then Shoto's isolated himself in the wall. Momo is actually pretty good into tech Shoto, just because you can shield charge for a lot of his stuff. Unfortunately, the counter to shield charge is a roll. This guy didn't get the message, so I get to do with that guy. And then my buddy Deku gives me a team heal. We don't see a lot in this game because I'm cutting through it, but this Cementos is absolutely the MVP. Here we have another Momo. I really hate the Momo versus Momo matchup. Like, it is not something I want to be doing with. In general, Momo has really hard times with matchups. It's very much about, like, controlling the space rather than picking certain fights. So yeah, you just want to hide where you can. Let your team do what they can. Don't engage a Momo. Don't go aggressive onto a Momo. But in that case, you know, I was pushing her out of zone. I got a jump on her. The worst thing about a Momo versus Momo matchup is that it can feel very lag dependent sometimes. Here I am bullying this Kendo. I'm really able to get away with some things I really shouldn't be getting away with. Just because I'm used to playing aggressive, and of course, you know, PC players aren't the greatest at this game. In general, a lot of people aren't great at this game. And that's partially because of the number of people playing the game at a time, which is why, you know, crossplay announcement is absolutely boggers for us, because it means that we're more likely to have more reasonable matches, and we don't have to have a bunch of meh players in our games all the time. We've got the Nejire, which is not a person I want to be fighting. There's a Rapid Bakugo, he's down. Bada bing, bada boom. First game done. They're emoting on this guy. I was like, I'm not gonna let you emote. I'm finishing this game. I'm not wasting time. So on game number 2, on to UA Island this time. So there's this Cementos down here. I fight this Cementos. I really shouldn't be winning as hard as I do. I immediately go for a melee hit because I want to activate Sisterly as soon as possible. I'm kind of timing my jumps because I know where the blocks are going to appear. This is like right at the beginning of the game, so people don't really have the levels. I managed to get this guy down. I really like approaching people with like a jump air melee. Run up, jump, alpha, into air melee, into alpha, Like, it's not an optimal combo, but it's a really good way of getting a jump on a person. And also that Cementos was an absolute loot goblin. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he wasn't using his levels. Because, like, surely he found Koto, right? That's what that meant. I'm pretty sure Koto was found, like, surely before that. I don't have any Sisterly active right now. Ida's down. I'm gonna punch him. Boom, Sisterly. I'm ready for the next fight. Get a shot right to the face, shotgun blast to the face, and I'm fine. No problem. Revenge support activates. My phone goes off. Everything is fine. Just because I'm, unkillable doesn't mean that, this is optimal build. I would still probably prefer to play, Embrittlement instead. Because I'm not necessarily, killing people very fast. I'm just surviving a long time, and stalling is actually a very good strategy. Especially if you have a very strong team. By the way, look at this movement here. Look at that. Look how I get loads of forward momentum after I run up that little the little sign. Interesting how air momentum works like that. Movement tech. Alright, so there's just a clump of items here, which is a very good bait. It's masterful bait. I shouldn't have said that. You see a bunch of items somewhere and everyone's like, oh, items! Nejire takes the bait. Toga, I believe, also there. Boom, dead. Someone went down, I'm not quite sure who that was. Actually, Toga and Nejire are still alive. There's Toga. Behind the tree, fires some cannons. Also, there are some playstyle differences using this specific build that I go for. Hi Nejire, welcome to the ground. You shouldn't have come here. So usually on Momo, I would go Gamma Max. That's the easiest thing for me to do. Because, keep your distance. PC people can absolutely be brutal. I don't really want to be taking short range fights. Or, there's beamers, right? You can't have a build that's focused on playing close up without the mobility to back it up. I'm getting pushed around by his Toga here. She's the last one left. I don't have Sisterly anymore. I want to get a melee, I can't. And I get thrown out, but Revenge Support activates, which is pretty good for being outside of zone. I only have it up to level 6. You get a huge boost once you get a skill to level 6 because it's the first skill that's available on a plus ultra rarity costume. And that's how they decided to do it, which I understand, that makes sense. I wish the scaling wasn't so crazy. I think budget builds should be very viable, and there's a lot of advantages from having skills well above it. This Sisterly skill scales well too much. It probably scales the hardest out of any of the other skills, right? Just comparatively. And I think a defensive skill should scale pretty well. This is my rooftop. See how I bully this overhaul? Let me get back to what I was saying because I distracted myself a bit. So I would get Gamma to 9 normally. A lot of people on console especially do like to go more alpha focused. But for this build, because my win condition is to be in people's faces and hit a melee hit, I get Gamma to 4 and then I go alpha 9. That's a big part of my win condition. Because, the hitbox allows you to chase people better, and also, higher damage combos, which also matters if you're going for an embrittlement build. Defensive stuff, you would like to be longer, but offensive stuff, you probably don't need it to be as long, which is why I think embrittlement still works pretty well on a budget build. Because, you can't control when you get hit, but you can control when you hit people, if you see what I mean. Right? Because you just need the embrittlement to last for the remainder of the combo. Another thing that plays into the playstyle is the cards, right? So, the way that people have their cards set up is as Momo, people like to get lots of green cards in the inventory, so you can like storm camp a bit longer. I would say yellow cards are very good because, you know, you can remain tanky for even longer, well more tanky than you already are, which plays into your win condition fine. Also, the rapid cards allows you to chase, so you can get in range for alpha. Look at this Hawks, he's thrown away. I'm taking such little damage. She's like, I'm not dealing with that. I say, okay, I'll team heal then. And look at that, my team was having some trouble. Boom, team healed up. Now they're unstoppable. See, I've got my alpha to level 9 now. Gamma's only to level 6. I don't want to play like in their face all the time. I still want to play, you know, what, somewhat defensively. Hang back a bit, because, you know, I still get bullied by the like the Nejire here. I got to jump onto Hawks, which is nice. But she can't follow me indoors, so I'm just going to go over here, heal my team, revive my Curie. We're back at it. Are there any other important notes I want to go over? I forget things, you know. ADHD moment, am I right? There are various combos that I need to be practicing more. I showed off some of them in the opening. I think I tried to do one here, but I may have failed it. I can't remember. But it's like a alpha melee jump melee, because sometimes I'm not great at timing the jump melee, because if you press it too early, then you interrupt the jump and it just comes out as another ground melee, which is not ideal. You need to space it quite well. You have to really be intentional about it. I've definitely gone past it. There's not much of this game left. I always go for the alpha melee jump, alpha air melee. I made that one myself, and it was like, no one does this. It's really cool because like the timing of your melee can be important, because like the earlier you proc it, the more resistant you can be to damage, and you want to have it up like as much as possible. If you're running the embrittlement build, then the earlier you land it in the combo, the more effective it is to your overall output. So really going for the alpha melee first could end up being even stronger. Anyway, we've come to the end of this now. Here's Mirio, last guy alive. And that's it. So I hope you learned some things about the this Momo build. There's lots of other potential Momo builds we can go over, and lots of other characters and builds and costumes and all the sorts. So if there's anything that you are interested in, please do let me know in the YouTube comments, and I'll see what I can do. I don't own all the characters. My, you know, normal tunes are not going to be as optimal as I would like, but I work with what I can. You kind of need to figure out what you can based on what available options you have. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Bye bye.